Let's see. I have no idea. I always have audio fun with this damn thing. Um, I need to figure out how to bring up the audio levels on the display so I can actually see what they look like. I've yet to figure that out. Hang on, I gotta do something. I've got, I got to a point where I was talking to somebody online and then, it made me think, oh, I need to go out and do this. So here I am. You can't really see what I'm up to, um, which is fine, I guess. But I will try to drag. Where can I drag this that you might actually be able to see it? I had to drag it over there, but then I'd have to drag it back. I don't want to deal with that. I got my punch. I made this a while back, a couple weeks ago. It's pretty thin. I don't know. Probably will not be able to see that well, but trust me, it's thin. I don't know how thin. I got calipers right there. Doing too many things at once. And I'm already scatterbrained a little bit as it is. When I start doing too many things at once, it gets worse. So this is right at the edge. Whoops, I can get it in there. Right at the edge. It is millimeters. Is that right? That can't be right. Let me come back and check that again. There's a 1/16 of an inch thick. It works well, but the punches we used for this project in the class, I think they were closer to 1/8 inch. I didn't really want to risk having guys trying something this thin and then constantly having to fix them. I didn't know the skill levels involved in the class, at the time. And it was fine. The class went well, by the way, for those that care. The class did go well. We did not get what I underestimated how long it would take to do the tenons. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenons that you got to forge down to 3/8 off of a 1/2 inch square bar. And I underestimated the length of time it would take people to do that, especially people that probably either haven't done it before or don't do it very often. It's like anything. Like you can be, a pro level racer, and not do a great time on a track if you've never been there before. They'll usually run that track a few times, get a feel for it. It's the same. You can, like a blacksmithing thing. You can be really good, but if it's not something that you do very often, it could take you longer than most people would probably care to admit. So I'm going to tilt this down. Let me get my trash off here. Potato chips. I moved the trash can. I don't know where I moved it to. So I'll just put it over here. But I'm going to tilt the camera down so you can see what we're doing, and I'll explain Why? Well, I'm not necessarily certain I understand why I'm doing it. Um, so I'm going to tilt this down for a minute while I talk about this and gather some stuff. So one of the things, oh, I guess I don't need that up there. This is the TV tray. I hesitate to call this the Brian Brazil TV tray. However, this is based highly off of Brian Brazil's TV tray. And it is who I learned how to do this through. Brian was in my shop in 2022, and this is one of those things that I always wanted to do, but we never really got around to. See that right there? It's tapping. It doesn't. So once it gets canted, it doesn't want to move. These are not right yet, but I'm going to fix that. So one of the things, a couple of things, that's different on this. I mean, there's a lot, but not a lot. It's the way I laid things out are a little different. And I know that there's certain things that I've done that Brian probably would not do. I'm going to probably want that over back. Get my hammer off of that. So the way this is not right, by the way, but this is one of the ideas that I was playing with, and I did this on one of my other ones. So this bar here really should be in here. And this bar is not, quote unquote, right. Neither is the one on the back side. But this one's more right. And so the tray here doesn't actually hold these together, but you can, if you measure this correctly, it will at least keep this bar from sliding outward. But this I had forged on my other tray, and you'll notice it's got these little tabs bent outwards. And the reason for that is because the rails that sit under the tray are kind of, you can't really use these rails. So, and I got to thinking about it one day, and I was like, man, you know what would really be nice is if I had none of these are quite right. I screwed this one up. See how much easier these go on. So the reason I did this was I thought it would be sweet to have a slot here to be able to do things and keep things like files on either end. Now, I don't have that many of these, but I could keep my rasp up here, some files, stuff like that. I think this might be a little too thin to go in here, but let's see. Yeah, so that would eventually fall through. So what I would do to combat that on something like this is have a thicker handle. By the way, I got this on Amazon. Well, those little Japanese draw saws or whatever, pull saws. I got a bigger one from Harbor Freight, but I wanted a little something smaller. It was easier to travel with. This thing's pretty cool. Anyways, so this slot here, these tabs here, that's what they're for. So the other thing is, let me back up real quick. Let me put this on. So these rails here, one, they're a little floppier than I would like, but we had to make do with what we had. And they're not bad. But you see how it wants to lay diagonally a little bit? See, this one's a little tighter, which I don't understand. They should be about the same unless this bar's got a bend in it somewhere towards the end, which very well may be the case, or it was not punched correctly, which would have been probably my fault. But let's see. Should be 16" on center. So it looks like it's 16" on center. So, okay. So the other thing would be is, I don't know that we ever finished this. So the other thing would be, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. A 3/4 inch drift should go through there, and it's pretty tight. And I can see a little bit of air in there. So I'm not, but it also, to my eye, it looks like this bar is coming in this way a little bit. It could be my imagination. My glasses tend to play tricks on me. Yeah. So, see how it slid way back once I got it in. So I feel like this has got a bend in it, which will need to be straightened, which is why, I don't know if you can see the rivets, but I mean the tenons haven't been riveted down yet. I like to make sure everything fits up nice before I rivet things together. Now this is too tight, and I know the more I look at this, the more it's definitely kicking. It's kicking in. But anyways, before I break one. Somebody had asked me once about the spacing. It could be whatever you want, whatever you need, right? So I'm just kind of tapping it. And I can definitely tell it's bent because when I get into a certain range, it just wants to flop around. And if I pull it back out, it stiffens up. So you want to think about your tools and your spacing. So it should be able to hold your tools well, right? So it holds that fine. I got a hammer around here somewhere. I got a Dave Custer hammer sitting right here. Look at there. But you didn't know there was going to be an advertisement. So here's the biggest issue I have with this particular rail is it tends to hold pieces up a little bit. Not a big deal. But if I come to the rail behind it, that sits nice and fine. But I want my rail spacing to be such that I'm going to kick this in because it's, see, this is how it's tilted. See that? It's sitting like that. I don't like that. I want it to be straight. That's a little bit better. But anyways, I want my tools, my hammers, my top tools to sit into the tray well. I don't want to have them binding up when I'm going to put them in or take them out, which will cause, until you get things locked in, but it will cause those things to move around, which is no good. Here's a 3D printed hammer. 3D printed hammer and a forged hammer. Very similar, right? This was designed based off of Brian Brazil's specs. So in fact, this has got Brian's touch mark on it. I don't know if you can see that. But Ryan Schwader is the guy that came up with the model for these. And he tuned it and tuned it and tuned it until Brian finally signed off on it. So if you looked at the difference between those two hammers, I think the biggest difference, other than the thickness here, is so here and here, right? Is I think the billet that Andrew Larson and I used for that hammer I just had was a 4 1/4 inch billet, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Brian prefers 4 1/2 inch billets, which will give you that bigger, thicker face. So anyways, The spacing can be whatever you need it to be. If you're not using, you know, whatever, you could make a rail just for your tongs. You know, so because they don't need to be as wide apart. You know, if you wanted to put tongs in here, I don't use mine for tongs other than the Hammerite tongs. And you'll see once you start running these, this is not the bar that's going to go on here, by the way. But once you start running these here, you get these little square sections. I use these areas for my Hammerite tongs, and here's a reason why. Do I have a pair of Hammerite tongs over here? I probably do not. I don't, which is fine. But anyways, when you put Hammerite tongs on a rack, the reins tend to go way out, and I don't like that. So if I drop them into these squares, it keeps them contained. And then it doesn't become like a tripping hazard or somebody getting caught on it as they're walking by, you know, and then knocking my table over, which could have, you know, 200 pounds worth of tools on it, which would not be fun. So yeah, you can make that spacing whatever you want it to be, really. I got a pair of, this is not a great example, but I got a pair of bolt jaw tongs here. They would drop in this way and then would be captured by that little square right there, right? So even if they turned on the diagonal, they would be trapped. So they won't fall through. That's why I do that. But this is about what I think my spacing normally is. Now these bars that come in this way is what sets this spacing. So from your first hole, which is going to be here, right? As we'll call this hole number 1. I'm going to measure from here to here on this end, whatever this is. Right? I'll put a bar up and figure that out, which this is not right, obviously. But I would mark, and what I would try to do, so, is I want to mark from the center of that bar there to the center of this one, which is about 18 1/4 inch, which is good. That's what I want to see. I want to see him to come out to somewhat normal measurements. I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of like weird, like, you know, 3/32 or some weird shit. But anyways, so once I have that first set mark, I know these first holes are always going to be on every bar 18 1/4 inch apart on center. Then from that center point, I would come out 1 3/4 inch. And that would be my next hole, and another 1 3/4 inch would be my third hole. And yeah, if you're going to put 3 rails on this thing, on this side, you're going to want, you don't have to, there's other ways to do this, but you're going to want 6 holes total on this bar. And like I said, for my spacing, I prefer 1 3/4 inch seems to give me a pretty good spacing. 1.5 inch, they'll be a little closer apart. And to be honest, I'm not thinking so much about the handles, which honestly, if I did, I could probably do this first one 1 3/4 inch, and then the next one, say 1.5 inch. Because the reason I liked that is because this right here, I don't know what that actually is. That is 1 inch. So from the center to of the fuller is almost 2 inches. So if I were to move it over just a hair, that gave me plenty of space. And the fullers tend to catch right on the rails. And one of the things is if you forge a hammer like we typically do, as Brazil nuts, you'll notice this is a Dave Custer hammer. This is an older Dave Custer hammer, I believe. Well, not that old. I don't know what he's up to now. I can't tell if that's I think that's a 31354. So 1354. I don't know what he's up to now, but I bought this back in 2019, I think. Doesn't matter. But if you notice that hammer, right? This is a 5-pound hammer that Ed Brazil and I forged a couple years ago now. But you notice it basically fits in that same spacing. It's a little bit bigger, but not much. And it fits in there pretty good. Here's a 4.5-pound hammer. It's probably actually more closely to 4.25. Ethan Hardy hammer. It's actually squattier, but it fits on the rail. And this is an Andrew Larson hammer that Andrew Larson and I made at the IBA conference a few years ago. But again, it fits right in there. So there you have it. So what am I out here doing at 10 o'clock at night? Is it 10 o'clock? I don't even know. Almost. So this is the demonstration tray that Paul and I forged. Paul forged one half, I forged the other half. I wasn't feeling great either, by the way, so having Paul there was a huge help. But I was just commenting to Paul tonight, earlier today. I was sitting here looking at this TV tray, and it's sitting flat and square, and I was surprised. I was like, hey, did we trim the feet? Because a lot of times you'll have to trim the feet to get everything the same, but I didn't have to do that with this. And I was kind of surprised. And I was like, hey, did you trim the feet while I wasn't looking? And he said he didn't. Which means we did a pretty good job. We, the two of us hit our marks. This bar is probably bent up because of me. I was having a hard time with my glasses because if I look down at the bottoms of my lenses, like at those transitions, and everything starts to get bubbly, weird. I know I can't explain it. Almost like fish-eyed or something. And it was doing weird things. So I was having to have Paul straighten the bars for me because I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones, I just beat it to hell trying to straighten it. But this one, I'm pretty sure is pulling in just ever so slightly, and the more it's pulled in here, the worse it gets, You don't notice it here so much, but you notice it out here. Not a big deal, and I haven't riveted it together yet. So I can straighten this and deal with it, which would be, this is the time to do that stuff. This is why, also, if you're ever going to make one of these, this is one of the big reasons I think Brian suggests you don't rivet these together until you've test fitted everything. Because these bars, once you start measuring them out and getting them right, they're not going to lie. If this is 16 inches on center, and it's supposed to be, and this is not fitting well, that means something's wrong here. And if you look at where it's touching on the inside here, which means it's pulled in this way a little bit. So that. Camera back up where it was, and I'm going to try to include the spot with the induction forge, induction heater. I don't know what you really call it. So back to the sofa tray, right? So this was the demo tray. We were using 1/4 by 3/4 for the rails, and I got it in my head that 1/2 inch would be sweeter and lighter, mind you. But let me tell you, 1/2 inch blown out to the appropriate size just looks sexy. So I want to show you well, this is actually 3/16, but it's still 3/4. So this is 3/4. All right. That looks fine. And it does the job. But that's the 1/2 inch. Look at the difference in that. That is just blown. That is wowed out right there. I mean, if you get it right, it's just dead sexy, in my opinion. But you got to get it right, because boy, does this ever tell on you. This bar is pretty straight. It's not bad. Could probably use a little tippy-tappy action to just straighten it up. But I don't remember one of these is not right at all. So this one's not bad. I could be off. Yeah, this is not it. So this was the one that was quote unquote right. So in theory, this should go on here. But because this bar is bent out, it's not fitting very well. I can get it on there, but all this crap is in the way now. So I'm gonna put this back on the anvil. I might actually need it. Actually, I probably won't use those. But yeah, that's fitting on there. That's fitting on there. So this one's fine. It's the other one. So funny story. Oh, is that funny? Well, it's funny. I measured it up. I was taking pictures to show people how I go about trying to punch a slot accurately and laying it out cold. So, and I'm going to talk about that real quick. So, do I have? I don't have. Damn it. I thought I got that out, but I forgot. So what I typically do, and I'll just use this as a, let's say I want to punch a hole here to here. Okay, so the first thing is I'll measure whatever that distance is. So in particular, in this particular case, actually let me grab a 3/4 inch bar that hasn't touched. That I know I have. Okay, so this would be a better example. So this is a 30 inch, it should be a 30 inch long piece. That's 1/4 by 3/4. So I know that my hole spacing is supposed to be 16 inches on center, right? So a logical person would not be faulted for thinking this way. But in theory, that means, right, that's 7 inches off of either end will give you a 16 inch on center hole spacing. The problem with that is you have to be damn certain that this is exactly 30 inches or that's going to cause you problems. So what I do is I come in and I'm just going to say, I'm not going to use that, but I'm going to just come in 7 inches from the end of this bar and I'm only going to work from this end, right? So I'll come in 7 inches and then I'll come out 23 inches from the end of this bar, right? That's how I would end up doing that. Everything's being referenced off of one side. That way I know that from here to here is 16 inches. I know that. That's without a doubt. So if this is off 1/8 of an inch, one way or the other on either end, I'm not screwed if I measured from 7 inches over here, because there's going to be a difference. And when you're talking, if you want a tight fit up, that will make a huge difference. So once I got that, what I do is I take a scribe and I set it to half the distance at the bar. So 3/4 would be what, 3/8? So I would come in and scribe on one side, and then I would flip it over, and then scribe it on the other side. I'm using soapstone right now, but so now it would give me my, in quote unquote, my dead center. Sometimes you will have a single line, or sometimes you'll have two. If you have two, you go between the two, right? So it's easier to find the center between two really short spaces versus a wider space, which is funny. It's way more noticeable when you're not dead center on 1/2 inch versus 3/4 inch. You can kind of, unless you're really off, you can, to the naked eye, you know, most people would not ever notice that. So once I have my center line scribed, now I know I was coming in 7 inches, right? All right, well, I want this slot, let's say, you know, to be a 1/2 inch. So what I would do is subtract a 1/4 inch on this side. So I would subtract a little bit. I'm just drawing it. It's probably definitely not right. And then I will add or mark 7 1/4 to this side. And then I'll center punch on my center line mark. And my center line mark. Now this is only if I was doing 1/2 inch. Now I would either, you don't have to go crazy with it. Just I like to use, I think it's called a prick punch. So I don't know that that's exactly what these are called. Little spring-loaded jobs. I like to use this to start these marks, and the reason I like that is because I can come in here and mark this and go, I'm not quite on my line. I can put it back in there, right? Get it back in there, and then I can tilt this in the direction I want it to go and push it over a little bit. And then once I verify that that's where I want it, I can just set it a little deeper and a little deeper. And then I might come back with an actual center punch. Don't kill it, by the way. I have a tendency to do that. And then you can mark, what I'm doing is I'm marking the top and the bottom, or in your case, maybe the top and the bottom of my slot. And then when I go to punch, damn, I was actually, look at, hold on, I eyeballed that, y'all. I'm basically dead on that. Wow. That doesn't happen in my world very often, but we got it on video. So anyways, once I have that, I can come in and mark it, roll my punch back, try to look on both sides, make sure it's the center. You can even use your scribe line. Roll it back and then just lightly touch it. So that way, when I come out of my fire, I should be able to find that. Now you can set this deeper, cold, be gentle. You can damage your tool. It'll definitely inform your heat treatment. But yeah, so once you've got a mark, you can find without having to see it. You can feel it, right? Then you can get this hot and then punch that out. Now, the magic, in my opinion, of all of this is using what is described by Brian as an undersized slot punch. Do I have one down here that I've not bent all hell and back? I do not. Oh, here's one. It's not a good one, but it is one. Oh, it's bent all hell and back too. That's probably why they're all still sitting here. This is not a good one, but it's a better example. It's undersized because this will never make contact with the top and bottoms of the slot. So this is a smaller one, and it's really thick. Shouldn't be that thick. This is for like a 3/8, I think. But the idea is this doesn't push on your slot, right? So it's not going to move your slot. It's just going to push your sidewalls out. And then once you get to that point, then you can start opening and drifting the hole round. Again, you want to start with undersized drifts. So you might go from that to a true 3/8 round drift, and then take it up to, to the 1/2 inch. You could even make, be careful with this, you could even make an undersized 1/2 inch slot opening drift. But you want it to be, and I'm gonna, by the way, we were not using these for this purpose, but I'm gonna show it anyways. What I would consider not a good example of that style of drift, and I'll explain why. This is a fine drift, especially if you're using this in a bigger hole than 1/2 inch, or whatever this material is, or whatever this width is. This would be fine. So like, let's say we were doing a 3/4 inch slot, which is what these were for actually. This bulge here though would not be good if you're trying to use it on 1/2 inch, because not only is it going to contact it, it's actually going to move it. It's going to expand it lengthwise versus doing that. What you really want is something, a straighter taper. If you're going to try to do that with a single drift, I don't recommend it, but you can. I have personally found just taking one that's in line, doesn't exceed the parent material. And the trick to these, by the way, is a relatively long straight taper. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a relatively long straight taper, and then you flatten it out, and then be careful not to blow these out when you're flattening it. But yeah, that's that. So I was gonna, where is my, I know where it's at, never mind. Hang on. I can't talk and type, apparently. I was messaging with somebody, and I was typing what I was saying. So anyways, I'm trying to find the chat. Oh, I know. I know what I can do. I have to bounce between different doodads here. Hey, nobody wants to hear that asshole. Turn him down. But I can hear me. Hey, Jeff, I don't know if you're still there. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring anybody. I kind of came out here on a whim, and I didn't think about the chat when I started, how to monitor that. I have ideas now, by the way. Kevin Stokes. Hey, Alexis. Roy's a good dude. Roy. Oh, Roy Adams? Yeah, he's all right if you're into cool dudes, I guess. No flux people. If you're into that, I guess he's pretty cool, but So yeah, back to what I was doing. I was sitting there and I was watching this really. Okay, first of all, I watched a movie called what was it? Have fun, good luck, don't die. It was a fun movie. Um, I guess if I were to say I had a complaint about it, spoiler alert, if I had a complaint, just like any modern movie anymore, it seems like they always kind of bake in that potential sequel. Um, so that would be my only real complaint. It's what I always loved about Night of the Living Dead. While yes, they could definitely do a sequel, ain't gonna be with those people, not in the original. Spoiler alert. John Ward, what's up, man? So, in the Flux situation, yeah. So, anyways, after that movie was over, it just auto started the next movie that it thought I wanted to watch which was Dracula, and I thought, what? I've seen that, the Francis Ford Coppola one. I don't hate it. I mean, yes, it's got problems, but overall, I liked it. Just pretend that Keanu has an English accent. But this one was different, and I was like, what in the world? And as I was watching it, it was similar to the same story, which is somewhat. There's aspects of the Francis Ford Coppola one that it's steeped in the books, but there's also some liberties taken, some fill-in stuff that was added to it, right? So this other Dracula movie was kind of doing the same thing, and as I started paying more attention, because I realized, hey, it's kind of doing the same thing, but it's doing something a little different. I started paying attention, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of bad. So I just couldn't watch it anymore. And then I thought, I was talking to a friend about the TV trays, and then it got me thinking about it. And I was like, oh, I should just go out and forge some rails, because I'm not going to do anything else but sit in this chair and watch TV. And I've got I've got this weird medical thing going on with my leg. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's weird. I'm not going to go into it, but let's just say, in Rob's brain is when you've got some kind of thing going on, just sitting around doesn't help it. Get out there and get it moving. And I don't know, here's my theory to that, right? I don't know that it's making it worse. I don't know that it's making it, or it doesn't necessarily feel like it's making it better, but it's not making it worse. So therefore, in my brain, that means that's probably what I should continue to do, and get my legs back under me. You got a situation, a Flux situation, right on. I apologize up front to anybody on YouTube. I do not have a good way of monitoring multiple chats. Same with Twitch. I'm going to try, but I have to bounce. I can at least monitor Twitch and YouTube, but I can't monitor Facebook, because Facebook has made changes to their API and who is allowed to do things. And I am not amongst that privileged crowd, apparently. Most of us are not, by the way. So I can try to monitor it through this thing. I'm working on something that will, I hope, allow me to tie it all together into a single chat. And if not, my backup plan is to dump everything into a Discord channel and then monitor on Discord, which might be the route I go, because this thing that I'm monitoring on now, I've noticed, if I accidentally refresh it, I lose everything, which is frustrating to say the least. But I'm gonna go back to Facebook, because it seems like there's, I want to say, the most people on there right now. So I'm going to shut up and light my cigar. How about that? Oh, and I'm going to grab a Mountain Dew, a root beer. Paul grabbed these last weekend or sugar-free root beers, and a lot of the sugar-free stuff, they use some kind of saccharin or something, and I just don't like the taste, so we've been trial and erroring different things. This sugar-free zero A&W root beer is actually pretty decent. I think the root beer flavor is strong enough to override the saccharin in it, or whatever they put in it, you know, whatever false sugar they put in it. So I am type 2 diabetes, fat man diabetes, and I've been a terrible diabetic for the last couple of years. I don't know, I got it into my head that I didn't need to take any of that crap and stop taking all of my medicine. I probably, if I'm ever bipolar, I probably by law should have to be forced to take my medicine, because I would probably think, I don't need that crap, and then end up killing people. But yeah. Oh, you moved to Facebook. Yeah, sorry, dude. I'm going to work on that, man. Because to be honest, I can watch Facebook stuff on my TV, but it's a pain in the ass. YouTube makes that so much easier. But anyways, so yeah, as far as the diabetes go, I think it's having something to do with my leg as well. And anyways, I went to the doctor 2 weeks ago now, and he's got some meds for me to start trying. Oh, Rob's got they did some blood tests, and yeah, they did not come back great. Let's just say Rob's got some work to do. It's one of those kind of things where it's so much, it's a little overwhelming. And then this leg thing started going on, and I just told him, I was like, look, I'm not big on pills. I definitely don't like having to take a medicine to take another medicine. That kind of bothers me. I've never been a big fan of the doctor, but this leg thing is bugging me so much, it's bummed me out. I don't depress much. I'm not a depressive type person. I'm not a woe is me person, but this has been bumming me out, that I just told the doctor last week. I was like, look, dude, I don't care what it is. Get it to me. Whatever we can do to start trying to fix this, because I don't like this. And then I got an ultrasound on my legs, on the veins in my legs. They're going to run to see if there's something going on with my vascular system in there, to help figure out what's going on with me. But let's just say I have good days and I have bad days. In the last week, this leg has been bad days. Started, I think, last Thursday, and it got really bad Sunday and Monday. I don't know. I can't even explain it. And yeah, so here we are. I get to a point where I just can't. In the wintertime, it's a lot easier for me to just sit in the house and not do anything, because it gets so cold. And that has always affected my feet. It's always been a problem for me. It's gotten worse. I've definitely noticed it's gotten worse in the last couple of years. So I don't think about it too much in the wintertime. I keep myself busy with other stuff. Mostly I was working 2 jobs over the winter, and so it kept me plenty busy. So now I'm like, not in, I wouldn't say warmer, but warmer weather enough that I'm wanting to come out and do stuff, and then I got the leg thing going on, and it's bugging me that I can't come do stuff. So yeah, there's a rasp that I put in the slot. So I'm gonna put it there, just to put it there to remind me what I'm supposed to be doing. What I'm supposed to be doing is finding some 1/4 x 1/2 material, which is that way. So I'm gonna go get it. Helps to keep moving. Good deal. Yeah, and so yeah, in my brain, I'm a moron, by the way, so definitely don't take medical advice from me. But in my brain, it seems like if it's not making it worse, then do that. I don't think you can see the vise, but I can move this. But I need a bunch of this stuff at 30 inches. Let me light this damn cigar for real. So, I'm going to bring my super trusty measuring stick. Oh. Yeah, you can see it, that's okay. On our forges, a lot of us have what we call a swing out arm. It's essentially the tool rest. And I'm going to show you some dirty secrets. Dirty secrets incoming. But that's my forge. And that over there is the swing out. This one was actually forged on this particular forge. Brian made this one. So if it doesn't work, we can blame Brian. So one of the nice things is my vise is over here, right? You can see it. And all my material's kind of currently drooping. But what I can do is raise this up till it's a little bit more or more or less level. But better. Better than it was, for certain. But it could still come up probably another 4 inches. This is a lot like the squirrel cookers, I guess. So it's just a coil and friction fit, or like a hold fast. Now this 1/2 inch is pretty light, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this swage tool I have, made by Jock Wilford, on there just to add a little weight so that when I move this around, this doesn't drop down on me. Because if you take some weight off of it, and if you just give it a bump, it'll fall down. By design, right? This is in the way. So I'm gonna put this over here. Now these, I can stack these. If I can stack these. Can I stack these? Come on, guys. Let's play nice. So, I want to cut these two together so that I know that these two bars are essentially the same size. But I am now currently looking around the shop and I do not see my shear. I swear, I go through this every time I try to do this stuff. I think my shear is in the job box. Or it's hanging over there and I don't see it. That's okay. We can make do with that. So I want these to be 30. So, need to go back a bit. Yep. Again, I want these apart to be the same. They're not going to be perfect. That's okay. That, not quite there. That's pretty good, but I'm going to pull it back just a hair. I'm giving myself room for cleaning up any potential mistakes, and I can just take these to the grinder when I'm done and shrew them up, but still keep it right at 30. I'll put them in here, like so. you go to shear this material like this and you give it any room to move, it will. Now I'm going to use, it's going to be probably tougher than I can imagine, but we'll see. I'm going to try to use this. Got a bigger one somewhere. Longer handle, more leverage. Now my tailgate shear would be a much better tool for this. See it moved. That's okay. That's why I gave myself room. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, dummy, you got a saw right there. What are you doing? I was trying to be quiet, guys. Yeah, it's totally moving. That's okay. Yeah, popped out. That's okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do ½ inch without my tailgate shear, but now we know. So I'll just put that down, lock this back in. It ain't going to be ideal, but I can fix it. I have faith. No big deal. And this is why I wanted it a little longer than 30 inches, because, well, one, I wasn't sure I could do half. Probably should have just stuck a quarter. I know I can do that. All said and done, that's not bad. Even with the, that's not bad. This end, on the other hand, not good. See where I tried to get it? Put it back in that. This one's not going to be good. That's actually not bad either. All things considered, that's not bad. I'll turn this back. Yeah, so that, using like an adjustable wrench like that, it's not the ideal tool for this, but it works. So, they're not that bad. I thought they were going to be all kinds of twisted. They're not bad at all. No, they're not the same, which I knew that was going to be the case. So it's in my pocket. Let's see where we're at. I bought a lot of this material with the purpose of making trivets. This one's damn near right on 30. which one's longer, top one or the bottom one. Sweet. That couldn't have come out better. Let me go put this on the grinder real quick. So, they're pretty much exactly the same size now. Let's see. Jeff Mason's watching. What's up, man? I'm not a moron, but I play one on TV. Yeah, definitely, man. So we're close enough to 30. So, like I was saying, right, if this was perfectly 30 inches, I know I could, as long as I measured perfectly, come in 7 inches from either side, and that would give me 16 inches on center. Right? Mathing on TV is probably not the greatest thing to do, right? But that's assuming that this is all perfect. I can already see that there's a slight bow in this too, right? Because it's been sitting on that rack, kind of extended, sagging. So I'm gonna have to straighten it out. Just by the process of doing that could change this dimension a little bit, right? Once I pull it straight, it might not be what I thought it was, which is fine. For what I'm using it for, it doesn't need to be that perfect. But what I need to do is pick a reference point on this bar and stick with it. So I already know I would want to come in from either side, only one side, measure in 7 inches, or if I wrote these down, which I did not, it would be, so if I come off from 7, if I come back 1/4 of an inch, right? So it'd be what, 6 3/4. Set a mark at 6 3/4 and one at 7 1/4. That would give me my spot there. And then what I would do is come out to 22 3/4 and then 23 1/4, and it would give me that here. But I'm only going to work from one end of the bar because I can't trust that this is perfectly 30 inches, and I can't trust that I would mark perfectly 7 inches in from either side to give me my 16. But what I can trust is that if I mark from here back and then from here 16 out, which would be 23 inches from the end of the bar, I know now those two are going to be right, or at least close enough for this. I mean, I can still, trust me, I can still make those mistakes. But it's a lot less likely to happen. Unless you do what I did earlier today. And I'll have to tell you guys this. What I had done, again, I was documenting the process, and then I'm gonna have to fix that. It's got a bit of a rag right there. rolled that corner over, that could be a problem for me. So I'll probably just grind that back. But anyways, what I had done is I had marked, I came in 7 inches, marked my quarter, and I center punched it. And for some reason, I think I had a center punch mark in the middle too. I don't know why I did that. Would not need to. And then when I came out of the fire, instead of putting my punch between here, right? So between here, what I did was I started it here. So I went that way. And not only that, I missed this middle one altogether, I think. I started it here and went this way. So this bar was a whole, no, my bad. I went the other direction. It was 6, instead of 16 inches on center, it was, it was 16 and a half inches on center. And what's funny about that to me was is I didn't even realize I did it. It took me a minute to figure out what I did. Because I did the other bar, and then I came over here to put them on, and I put the wrong one on first. So this first bar, this first rail, when you first put it on this TV tray, it's what sets the height of your tray. So, right, it doesn't have to be 16 inches. You can make it lower and take it out to 18 or whatever, or you can bring it in a little bit more, 14 or whatever, you know. Yeah, you'll get to a point where it gets top heavy, but be careful with that. But this, I knew I wanted 16, but I didn't even think about it. I just put it on. And then when I came to the other side to put the other one on, I was like, why isn't this fitting? And then I got my tape measure out and checked the centers, and they were on 16. And I was like, well, that can't be. So I went to the other side, took that rail off and put the good one on, and came over here, tried to put it on, thinking maybe it was just like a little bend, which this does have a little bend in it. And I went to put it on, it wouldn't fit, and I was like, that's really weird. And then I measured it, and then I realized it was 16 and a half on center, and I was like, what? How can that be? So here is a little trade secret, if you want to call it that, right? If you overshoot your dimension, you're kind of screwed. There's some things you can do, but to be honest, for something like this, you're almost better off cutting this bitch down and welding it back together and grind off your weld marks. You can try to upset it back. That's a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Major pain in the ass. The other trade secret is just start over. If you undershoot, so had I done it 15 and a half, what I could have done is put this in the power hammer cold and drawn this out between the holes slowly, check it until I stretch it out just enough. So to stretch out a ½ inch over the course of this bar, when it's sitting like this, you almost never really notice it. You'd have to be looking down it, and then you would see it get a little thinner in a couple of spots. But especially if you went from end to end, you probably wouldn't even notice it, because it would not take that much to get that ½ inch. But yeah, you can stretch this out cold on a power hammer, and then get to where you need to be. So if anything, try to shoot under. Jaden Cash, hey man. Jaden's one of those people that makes me feel old now, because I don't necessarily think we've ever really truly met, but last time, the first time I saw him, he was about yay tall. He's all grown up now. Anyways, so yeah, shoot. If you're gonna screw up, err on the side of too short. is you can stretch this bar far easier than you can push it back. The other option you have, it's not necessarily a great option, especially on a half inch. If it would have been like a 1/16 off, maybe this would have been a fine solution. Is you can just open that hole up a little bit bigger, and get yourself there. But being a half inch, that's pretty significantly off. So that's a chucker. I did try to upset it to see if I could. If you're gonna do that, by the way, put your drift in here, in the hole, and then wherever you're planning to do the upset, I tried to do it back here so it wouldn't be that noticeable. It was just a bit much, so I had to do it a little closer, you know, and then you do a lot of straightening because you've exceeded the 3-to-1 ratio significantly when you're trying to upset behind that hole. But if you don't put your drift in, you're almost, no, you're not gonna almost, you are definitely going to distort that hole. Without a doubt. You gotta remember, it's half-inch bar to begin with, and I think (3/16) around in this area here, maybe that's going to collapse on you. I tried, and I had to redrift it. I think I did that before I realized what was wrong. I tried that on this, and I now realized this wasn't the problem. It was the other bar. So, yeah, err on the side of too short, because too short's always right. Okay. Somewhere around here, I had a square. What did I do with it? I'm looking under, I think it maybe had fallen off. But I do not see it. Man, I don't know. Oh, I'm also forging in my safety Crocs. Because I'm a smart man that way. So you hear me scooching about, that's why. Because I'm in my safety Crocs. Where the shit did my square go? I was sitting right here earlier. This is where I did all the stuff. I did the stuff right here. It is no longer here. That's bewildering. I'll tell you what, the wind has changed. It's dropped a good 20 degrees since earlier today. And the wind direction changed as well. Now it's blowing into the shop. And I got my shop door open back there. I'm about to go shut it because that breeze is, woo, chilly. Square's not up here. I got a bigger square, but I was really not wanting to use it because it's bigger. And I don't need all that bigness. Let me check under stuff. No. Nope. Okay, let me go get the bigger square. Arrgh. I do not necessarily care for using this particular square over here, because this is one of my nicer ones. This is a Starrett, so I don't like it getting banged up. I got another one, I got a quote-unquote new one in the house, but that's no excuse to let this one get banged up. So I'm gonna set this for now right at 7 inches. Okay? Okay. So, I'll put this over here. I don't know which one of you sons of bitches came over here and took my square? I know it was one of you. Anyway, so I'm gonna mark from now. I want this side. That's my 7-inch mark, right? Or, what I could do, no, it's not 7 inches. No. It's a good thing I decided to change that. 6 3/4. What was I looking at? Not the right numbers, that's for sure. That's 7 inches. 6 3/4. Now I need to go 7 1/4. So, centered on the bar, that is where I want to punch my slots. Now here's, you got 4 of them, man. Oh, man, that ain't cool. Still, that kind of shit bugs me. Like, I know I had it right here, but what did I do? I clearly am the one that picked it up and moved it somewhere, but I don't know. It's just like tape measures. Every time I go to Harbor Freight, there was a time when I would go and just grab one of these because they're cheap enough, and then I don't know where in the hell they've ended up since, but just scattered throughout the shop somewhere. That way I can just leave them. That when I walk over, one day I walked over to a spot and there was like 3 sitting there, and I was like, so clearly I didn't look in that spot, but I had a tendency to take it back to that spot. So 3 ended up over there. But anyways, now I am punching this 16-inch on center. And I'm technically only punching a 1/2-inch slot. That's not big enough to go over a 1/2-inch square bar, right? 1/2-inch square is not 1/2 inch on the diagonal. It's actually something like, what did the AI overlords told me, 23/30 seconds or something weird. Or, if you want to use normal people fractional inches, it was 11/16. So it's not quite 3/4 of an inch, but it's 11/16 works. Here's the fun fact. I don't own an 11/16 drift, but I do own a 3/4 inch drift, so I just drift it. What I've been doing is just using this to kind of size it a little bit on both sides, and I come over and check it on the bar, and then when it fits, I feel like I'm good. And if it's too tight when they both go on, I might open it up a little bit more, or even sneak 1 to 3/4 of an inch. But anyways, it would be better if I were to mark this at 11/16 and drift to that, because there would be no movement. However, because it's 16 on center and these are the only holes I'm putting in this bar, I don't care if there's movement out here or out here. It won't matter. Now, that's something I got to pay attention to on the crossbars, the cross rails, but those will all be punched to 1/2 inch, because this is 1/2 inch, or just over. But I mean, that little bit of movement would be pretty imperceptible as you move down the bar, but it can be a thing as long as you can stay consistent with it, because these set the spacing of your rails here on this side, right? So these are passing through the 1/2 inch bar, square bar. These set your rail spacing on those bars. So as long as you're consistent going out on either end, it'll work out. What you don't want to do is start swapping up a bunch of weird drifts that you don't know are sized appropriately, because that can cause these things to not line up right later. Fun fact, every time you pass a drift through a piece of material, it loses some material. Well, mild still. I can't vouch for, I don't think using tool steel for drifts is a good idea. It gets expensive quick too, especially if if you're constantly losing them like me. Mild steel ones are fine, just make new ones. So anyways, what I need to do now is scribe. Oh, you know what? I think Paul didn't take his scribe with him. I'll show that off. Yep, it's still here. That's right, it was in the toolbox. It's still plenty sharp. Now, I don't know what this is set to, but we were marking up, it looks like 3/8. So we were marking up 3/4 inch bars. So I gotta change that. That's 1/2. Should be 1/4. Right there. So this is just a woodworker scribe that he put, I don't know what that is, a little piece of steel in there, maybe a tungsten. It's nice and sharp. And then you just come over and scribe it, and I'll flip the bar over, scribe it. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll try to show you. It's kind of blown out, isn't it? See those 2 big lines? So that's a little too big for my liking. What I should have done is come out here and look at it and be like, oh, yeah, no. So what I'll do is I'm going to bump it just a hair. And then I'm going to try that again. Maybe. That's better. I like that a lot better. Mo Better Blues. So, can you see it? Kinda. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. All right. Now I'll mark it with this. And look at it. That looks centered. So. You can barely see those marks, but what I like about that is if I need to move them, like this bottom one could technically go forward a little bit. All I can do is come back and find that hole, angle it that way, try to keep it straight, and it pushed it forward. Now, hit it a couple times and set it a little deeper. That's good. By the way, these are stupidly cheap. I think you can get a 10-pack of these on Amazon for like 10 bucks. Did I say a 10-pack? A 3-pack for like 10 bucks. But they work well. I've got a really nice one. It's a Starrett. Let me tell you, that damn thing, because you can adjust how much pressure it takes. That damn thing, when I first got it, it took everything I had to get that thing to spring load and pop. But when it did, holy crap, did it leave a mark. It was not joking around. I backed that thing way off, and it's nice. But those kinds of things I try to only use for the machining stuff, because if I bring it over here, it's far more likely that I'm going to lose it over here somewhere. So try not to do that. Anyways, so I got that side marked, right? Now I need to come 22 3/4 off that back line, or back side. 22 3/4. Make sure that didn't move on me like it did. 22 3/4 is right there, and then 23 1/4 is right there. Still missing my little square. So stuff like this big square is just kind of crazy, but it works. Okay. So I'm going to verify, once again, measure 40 times and still screw it up and hit the same. So about center. Oh, it needs to go that way here. Yeah. So I'm going to move this up in my half. Yep. My half. Yep. So again, one more time, just to be safe. That looks right to me. So I'll mark it. Oh, let's describe it. There it is. And I always flip the bar around and catch it. So that way, if this is off a little bit, you can go in between the lines, but I'm getting a single line, which is what I prefer. Which is why you should have just marked it down, or I should have just marked it down there. But yeah, so this one, there, this one, those both look good. And I'll come over here. Well, if I can catch it, make it a little deeper. Okay, that one probably could move a hair. And it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. That's the other thing I like about these little prick punches or whatever, is they don't tend to mark it up too blatantly. Now Brian will use his punch to mark these. I don't know if this punch can hang with that. Well, we're gonna see. I'm gonna try it and see what happens. Don't have to kill it. Can I catch that? I can catch that. Got that. Got that. Got that. Yeah. This is holding up to that. This is an Atlantic 33. Do the same thing on this side. On the top and the bottoms. That's what I'm doing. I'm basically playing connect the dots. Put it back in there. Move it up. Slid out on me. Look at it. Look straight still. Alright. I'll show you where I'm at with that. Now once you get these layout lines and everything started and you understand where you need to go, this all goes much quicker. It's still slower than just eyeballing it. But I ain't trying to eyeball it. So you can see I got my mark there. Now ideally, I'll be able to easily find that when I come out of the induction forge, which you can't quite see. So I'm going to move this over here. You can see that it's nice and dark out there. Yeah, I'm going to shut this garage door. Woo! Rain. That wind was blowing right through that garage door on that west wall. And it was just a bit much. This is Roy's favorite toy. I'm not going to get this real hot right now. I want to mark this a little deeper. I'm not confident my eyes can find this. Now I can find out. give it one more so I can find my mark. Kind of dilly-dallied on that. Tell you, old eyes, man. It's an experience I'm still trying to get used to. Okay, that's gonna come out. Oh. Don't really need this right now because none of my drills actually fit it. Well, none of my small. When I made that thing, I don't know what I did, but it ain't right. I didn't even make a new one. I've got plans to do that. Yeah. It didn't come out. I'll knock it out, but that's okay. That's gonna be too thick. Yeah. Way too thick. I don't even understand why that's so big. That might work. Keep that around just in case. Now I'm not heating this to drift it. I'm just trying to knock that slug out. you're using a slot punch that thin, that's the biggest drawback I found. If you're not dead on, you'll get that. So, like I said, these drifts don't fit. Oh, they might fit this. Let's see. Not way too big. We'll fit that hole in. There we go. Swooping that way a little bit. So I'm just going to try to fix some of that right now. Every time I see it, I want to fix that. We should be able to get all the way through there this time because I have to dilly-dally get that in there. And to be honest, this drift is just a little too big for this. What I should probably do, I'm not going to do it right now. What I should probably do is forge a new one because it's too thick on the end. So it's for this particular slot punch because it's so thin. I need a thinner end to be able to get it in there a little easier. So I got a little rag right there on the edge. I dropped that file earlier. What did I do with it? Picked it up. Oh, and next to my square. There it is. It's under my phone. I'm going to pile that rag off right there. if I can do it without having to use a vise. Yeah, a little bit right there. Doesn't take much either. Okay. So I'm gonna open that up. Get this thing ready. I got a 1/2 inch drift that I'll go to next. See. Make sure it goes through my hole. Okay. Kicked up again a little bit. That's too much. Better. Okay. Now I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that if I was at my final size without the drift in it, because I'm going to have to put another drift through here anyways. I'm not worried about it. These holes make no sense. I don't remember where I got this from. Yeah, okay. But, so I'm going to go to this one, and then I'm going to take it up to the 11/16, which I don't actually have. Still fairly straight, so I'm going to run with it. So this isn't the final hole. I'm going to take it up a little bit more. Little bit of suck down on that, but not bad. That hot again, because I moved that drift way over here. fits over on the square bar. If it does not, I'll open it up a little bit. It needs to go a little bit more. Just a hair. It fits, but I won't be able to rotate it, and I want to be able to rotate it. That's where that's at. And it rotates. Good. But not a lot this way. I mean, a little bit, but not much. I don't want it to be able to before it's hitting the sides. No. And this one needs a little bit love down here, but I'm going to address this down here first. That needs to be hit with a grinder. Oh, I don't need that. I need this. I had to fix that. So. There, it's like it never happened. I had that corner rolled and it formed a rag on the other end. So all I did was spread it just ever so slightly after grinding it off, and then checked everything back. I mean, sure, if you look down it and hit it with a micrometer, you would know for sure, but super duper. Alright, so before I get too far down the road here, I know it's got a bow in it. I'm going to try to address that right now. Much better. Okay. Set my mark a little deeper. gotta hit the handle with this grip. Let's see. If I can record that. Should be able to. Be thinner though. Much better. Hey, find it. I found my little square. Okay. See if I can knock that plug out. Yeah, right on the end. It'll come out when I heat it up. I don't want to go through this side though, because it's off a little. I just want to knock that plug out. It's hanging on right here on the end. Off center just a hair. So I'm going to heat this side up first. Did that because I want this side to move. Okay. Better. Okay. Much better. Oh. So you notice it's not round, right? And what I was doing was pushing this side out more than it was, so I was only heating this side to try and balance them out a little bit. Looks like I could still go a little bit more. So it's still pooched out more on this side a little bit. So I'm going to heat this side up. Okay. Now they look better. So I'll
I'll drift it all the way through now.
Okay. Before I get too carried away, not quite perfectly 16. Not bad. But does it fit? Oh, I just spilled a root beer all over my old calipers. No. Good thing they're waterproof. Okay. All right. So, because I got that off a little bit, I need to drift this other side to 3/4. Not a big deal. But that drift is going to be warm. I can find it. I had some tongs over here. I know that drink is goofy. There we go. And I know this bark on the end is bent. So, what I should do, but the camera's in the damn way. If I can sneak this in there. Yeah, you got no way. Ain't gonna happen. Anyways, I know this will fit. That bar on the very end has got a slight kick to it. Can't mess a little bit. It's all over my phone again anymore. But that bar, that square bar, it kicks out that way just a hair. So I need to pull it off and fix that. This rag is not soaking up any of this mountain, or I keep calling it Mountain Dew, it's root beer. It is not absorbing any of it. This is oil rag, I think is why. It was an oil rag. Anyways, it's better than it was. But yeah, like I was saying, I know the end of that bar is bent a little bit. Move some of this crap out of the way. Including my phone. Oh, put it back in the root beer. Probably be smart. I'll put this over here. I can't keep my cigar lit to save my life. This. So yeah. I know these are on their way too tight. But that should go. It's still not perfect, but it should go. How do I get it on there? I'm gonna have to take these other ones off. Well, down goes the rest. See right there, it's getting tight. Yeah, that just that little bit lets me push this. So yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. That was my mistake. I should have double checked that other side. But I think when I look down this, it's got the ever slight coming this way. So yeah. I'm not sure if Rob is ready for prime time with that really skinny slot punch. I seem to have to fix more mistakes that I have with it than not. This is also going that way, a hair it looks like. But yeah, I think I might switch to my other one, the rest of these, just to see how they go. I really wanted to play with that slot punch because it's stupid thin. I think it's like a 1/16 on the end. And I have to be really careful not to bottom it out too much because it will upset the end of it. Oof. Yeah, root beer all over my. All over my calipers here. Oh, there. Anyways, so I get the other side. I can't show. Yeah, I can. So this is one of the things I've been doing with mine as well. This off there. Is punching these smaller. So these go on the inside of where the tray rests. Come back around here and I can probably angle this back down again. Going the wrong way. There we go. Angle it back. Whoop. So this was made for a different tray. So, God damn it! Hey, stop that! It's like spring loaded. There we go. So this isn't gonna fit on here. I don't think. It might. No. Yeah, this was made for this tray. But anyways, the tabletop, I guess, the top. These were originally, I had a couple of them. So what they would do is butt up against each other and give me that spacing that I wanted. But what I decided was is I would rather use these on the inside, because one, they're not really even seen because they're not usable. They're captured by the top of the table. I'll put this one back on, I guess. See right there, it's got that little bend right there. Or this one's off too. That very well could be the case. Yeah. But I can see it coming in right here. But anyways, those little tabs help set that position right there. And what's nice about that is to be able to, once everything's locked into place, right, I can set my rasps or files and such in there like that. Now I originally was going to do two, and then I realized I don't need another slender slot like that, so I'm just going to do them on the ends. And if I was smart, I might, and I still may, I don't know how well it would work. We'll see. It doesn't really matter. But this gets locked in place with the side rails this way, and will lock these and keep these from moving. So that's, I don't know, I think it's handy. So there you have it. Maybe tomorrow I will rivet the axle together, but I want to straighten that bar out. Looking at it this way, it looks fine, but when you come over here, you can see it's got a slide this way. So I want to fix that, which should be easy enough, just to put it in a vise, get it hot, just put it in a vise and stop wailing on it. And that should be good. I'm going to put this back up in the upright position. Whoa. Anyways, so I have no idea what time it is, but I'm getting tired, so I think I'm going to call it, go back inside, sleep for 4 hours. That'll be great. Midnight already. So cool.